The theory?
I
World saw it happen.
Sure.
Why?
Because it never happened.
That's the right thing to do.
What about some kind of atmospheric
Yeah.
Any theory?
I say, we thought, so thank you.
Shut it down. This is...
Coming soon? Oh, but don't you want to know why the...
比我们还要久。
国家实验室的恩里和费米跟他的上就一定产生过高等智慧生命。
没有外星人。哪儿的？
别让他们知道。
还不犯困？
因为我一边木星由行星引力导致的自了强烈的电磁干扰。我们检测到的电磁辐射不是18分，两者相差正。
你是说太阳？也就是说，我们可以把太阳。
技术上的先驱。
杨卫宁同志，这是一个太阳作为电波放大器的。
The world is in disarray in Red Coast due to widespread reports of seeing the night sky blink. Yi Wenji, Rosalind Chow, who is older, watches a BBC World News broadcast on the flickering stars at home. A knock at the door cuts her off. When she opens it, Jovan Adipo's character Saul is seen carrying takeaway bags. Saul visits the memorial honoring her late daughter, Vera Yi. Is Saul harboring any theories regarding the twinkling stars? Yi Wenji wonders. According to Saul, the flashing stars are a hoax. He mentions that the incident was not seen by any of Earth's satellites. Saul says it was a deepfake, which is about as good a theory as any given that thousands of stars could not possibly be coming into or going out of existence. Jess Hong tells Orbi, Isa Gonzalez outside the Nanotechnology Research Center that whatever she decides is the correct thing to do. Then Orbi walks into the NRC. Many of the workers watch news stories about the flashing stars inside, or they engage in internal rumors about the mysterious phenomena. She then goes over to a group of scientists who are getting ready to test her nanofiber. There are fewer than 9.5 minutes left on the countdown that is always there in front of her eyes. She positions and lifts a synthetic diamond via a nanofiber lattice. Through his enormous privately held oil corporation, we discover more about Mike Evans in this episode, a man who seems to have enough money to accomplish everything he sets his mind to. He used to be a devout environmentalist who lived a reclusive life in northwestern China replanting trees to save an endangered species of brown swallow. However, whatever transpired when he met Yi Wenji there, possibly the establishment of a radio astronomy facility on his property, made him into the exact opposite of what he despised. He now has a stake in stopping scientific advancement since he supports anti-vax conspiracy theories and funds anti-science politicians, among other things. Orbi touches the artificial diamond as he walks into the testing chamber. The nanofiber lattice slices it neatly when it breaks into bits. Her colleagues celebrate her achievement. However, Orbi's countdown is now less than 7 minutes. She declares the project over and requests that the lab be closed. The countdown falls to less than 2 minutes as she leaves the house. The countdown disappears, though, the next. Orbi was informed this in the previous episode by Tatiana, Marlowe Kelly. But she should keep going since her co-workers would soon follow her out, says a Da Shi, Benedict Wong who is close. With his card in hand, Da Shi strolls next to Orbi. As Orbi replies that she doesn't think he can assist, Da Shi inquires as to whether or not she is interested in learning why the stars flared in her direction. This suggests that Evans was probably involved in Orbi's countdown hallucinations, which come to an end when Orbi gives in and abandons her nanotech research only minutes after demonstrating its groundbreaking effectiveness. She exits in a fog and encounters Clarence Shi, who is waiting for her, asking her about Evans. Evans may be related to the lady who threatened Augie, Tatiana Marlowe Kelly, as stated in the titles, which has been totally removed from the security camera film of their encounter in the alley. Including Clarence in the Oxford 5 circle is a smart decision for the show, particularly to ensure that everyone is on the same page. Augie finds out that the other deceased scientists frequently experience countdown hallucinations, which heightens the threat already present. The anguish of losing her passion and maybe jeopardizing her livelihood is far from being outweighed by the comfort of not having the countdown. Flashback to 1968, Inner Mongolia, China. The antenna at Red Coast Base broadcasts a message into space. The message declares that humans wish to work with these civilizations to build a better world. A young Yi Wenji, Zine Seng asks Yang Vining, the base's chief engineer, how long they have been broadcasting the message. He says a few years, but the Americans and Russians have been broadcasting similar messages for longer than that. Is it possible that Evans and Tatiana were both engaged in the development of the VR game that Jin keeps falling prey to? The majority of Red Coast takes place in this made-up universe, where Jin chooses the name Copernicus and befriends two AI figures, the Count of the West and his little follower. Jin gains additional knowledge about the fundamentals of the game during their trip to the pyramid to see Emperor Zhou. The objective is to understand the functioning of the planet's environment. The player can forecast the stable eras, when it is possible to live without worrying about suddenly being engulfed in flames, if they are aware of the patterns driving the unpredictable weather occurrences of the chaotic eras. The Fermi paradox is cited by Yi Wenji. She tells an uninformed Yang about the origins of the idea and its fundamental tenet, saying, "Our galaxy contains 100 billion stars. There must be planets comparable to ours orbiting many of these stars. And intelligent life must have evolved on several of these worlds. Where is everyone now?" She begs Yang to put her in contact with the author and gives her a report written by Dr. Peterson. He should keep it a secret, Yi Wenji counsels. Yi Wenji later checks communications for signals coming from space. Her eyes dart over Dr. Peterson's answer. People in this nation have the ability to become flattened husks through dehydration and then rehydrate whenever it is most convenient. That plays out in a striking and unsettling way in Follower. Since Augie isn't well elsewhere, Jin confides in Jack about the game. Jack is intrigued, even if he can't wear Jin's helmet for more than a moment before a lady brandishing a blade decapitates him. Jack's responses to the game, particularly his several futile efforts to play, provide some much-needed comedic relief. The funniest one is the third, when we don't even play the game with him. That continues when he, well, it's a game, so why not, spend a few minutes striking Sir Thomas More in the face after receiving a formal invitation. According to Yi Wenji, the journey from Jupiter to the Sun took 43 minutes. Jupiter's energy was not only reflected by the Sun, but it was also intensified. Yang understands Yi Wenji's suggestion: the signal from the antenna will be enhanced and reflected if it is pointed toward the Sun. Even if it could take a long time to hear back, this indicates that China will be at the forefront of interplanetary communication. Yi Wenji said she wants to present the concept to the political commissar of Red Coast Base, Lei Zhicheng. At the pyramid, Jin does manage to make some headway when she notes that the Count's creation of the I Ching is insufficient to genuinely make precise predictions about the motions of the Sun. As it happens, his prophecies are incorrect in predicting the intense cold wave that destroys civilization just after the masses have finished rehydrating. But she cleared the first level by asserting that science is superior than mysticism. Your willingness to engage in thought experiments may determine how much of an investment you make in these VR scenarios. This is more vibey than storyline right now, but it will become more crucial later on. Fortunately, I think the picture is still quite stunning, and I find it interesting that the game would be about figuring out how science functions in a different environment. But this material may seem pointless if you're itching for more character growth and noticeable advancements in the non-gaming narrative, particularly at this early stage. The episode's most suspenseful and captivating narrative is Wenji's. Soon after arriving at Red Coast Base, she has an amazing idea that is supported by data from an American scientist. They should shoot the message at the Sun to magnify it rather than using their own poor signal to transmit regular transmissions to space. As a super antenna, the Sun would function. Yang Vining presents the concept to Commissar Lei Zhicheng, who promptly dismisses it on the grounds that it has hazardous political symbolism, Mao equals Red Sun, and that there is a possibility of execution. Wenji, however, can't get the notion out of her brain, and one day she stealthily carries it out anyhow. She doesn't hear back from her until nearly 10 years later. I am a pacifist in this world. It's fortunate for me to be the first to read your letter. I'm alerting you, don't respond. If you answer, we'll be there. We're going to conquer your globe. Don't respond. This sequence is filmed with the appropriate intensity by director Derek Sang. We are seeing a historic moment, the first conclusive evidence of extraterrestrial life ever discovered, and it takes the shape of a real, understandable communication. In the end, Wenji decides to disregard the warnings and send back another message, basically asking this extraterrestrial race to attack. She declares, "We cannot save ourselves. I'll assist you in taking over this world."